Okay, so what is Glory Days actually about? Glory Days is a standalone novel. It's not intended to be part of a series. I'm not planning to make it a series. Please don't ask me to make it a series. In that novel, there are two plots that the story kind of jumps between. The first one is focused on a ferret bard named Sandara. She is going ahead and staying in a tavern. She's at night telling this story, and it's taking a few nights. So she's telling this epic quest. It's taking a few days to tell it, and it mostly follows her at the tavern telling the story, but occasionally has her leaving the tavern to do other things and interact with other stuff that gives you more kind of context on what she's doing and why she's telling this particular story at this particular place and what is going on with this setting. The second plot is actually the story that she's telling. It's not being told exactly the way that she's telling it. You find out partway through the book, kind of spoiler, I guess. You find out partway through the book that she has written it down in a book format, and what you're reading in the second plot is essentially that second book, that book that she has written about the story that she's telling in the tavern. And occasionally, as she's telling the story, she gets interrupted, she gets heckled, it breaks off because it's the end of the night and she has to go do other stuff or go to bed or whatever. It's hopping between these two stories. Now, the story she's actually telling focuses on herself. She is a character in it. It is a quest that she participated in. And it begins with her at a bar in a forgotten town on the edge of what used to be the frontier but has since become just a coastline, just kind of spending the rest of her days. See, you find out that the day of the great adventurer hero has ended, and with it, the day of the great bard that tells the stories of the adventurer heroes and follows them around and makes money going on quests with them has also ended. And so she's there, and there are some other people that are just kind of, as she says, wasting away in the gutter at the edge of the world. And one of them is a guy named Rigel. Rigel is one of the last great adventurer heroes. He was a big deal 20 years ago. But now, as magic has mostly left the world, and that industry and that whole lifestyle has kind of collapsed, the age of the adventurer hero has ended. He has nothing to go out and do anymore, and so he's just kind of wasting away at this bar. This bard, Sandara, is just kind of wasting away at this bar, and then someone shows up looking for them. The person who shows up looking for them is a guy named Lord Harrow, and I'm going to do character introduction videos later to give you more information on each of these guys, but basically what happens is Harrow has money, and he has resources, and he has access to what little bit of magic is left in the world, and he is seeking to restore magic. His whole quest is to get this team together. He already has a bunch of people on the team that you meet at very early on that I'll do introduction videos about. And he's recruiting Rigel and Sandara as the last people on this team so that he can go out there and carry out this goal he has of bringing magic back to the world, of restoring the glorious age that they all remember when heroes walked the earth and monsters were getting slain. And the story really just kind of follows that quest. It's going to follow them as they set out to restore magic. It's going to follow them as Sandara starts to have questions about the methodology that they're using and about the goals that they even have. It's going to follow through them, acquiring certain magical items that they can use to restore magic and facing monsters. And it very much is a high fantasy epic quest story, but it has this sense the whole time of asking what the world was really like when the adventurer heroes walked the earth, when magic was the primary kind of driver of society. What life was like for everybody, whether or not that age deserves to come back, and if so, how they're going to go about bringing it back. So that's the overall plot of Glory Days, is following these two stories. Sandara is telling the story in a tavern. That a lot of the humor comes from either the people in the tavern or just kind of hijinks that the characters are carrying out as they're going, because they're adventuring for a few months, and as with any good party like you'd see in D&D, they get into some trouble here and there, and that type of thing happens throughout the story. But really the story is pretty serious and pretty heavily deals with, as I mentioned in the last video introducing this, all these questions about the age that is past and what it means for magic to be in the world, and what the future really looks like for the people who are growing up in this world now lacking that magic. I'm currently about halfway through writing the first draft. It's coming along pretty well. I think I'm gonna make it a priority to try to finish this and then get back to working on Tall Tales Volume 3. And so you can expect more videos about it as I go forward. But right now, there's only a snippet to read. There's a brief snippet on my website. So I have kind of the Tall Tales website, and then I have my author website, which you can find the Glory Days link here. right there. You can go ahead and check that out. It has a brief snippet there, and it have information. And as I'm updating, as I finish the first draft and move on to some other stages of the process, like editing and things like that, I will be updating its status there. Thank you, and I hope you're looking forward to that story, because I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you.